Well, hello everyone, and I'd like to welcome you to this season's first Lunch and Learn, which is on Mastering Rep Admin. During this session, if you have any questions, please enter them in the GoToMeeting chat window. I will do my best to answer all your questions before the end of today's Lunch and Learn. After the session, I will be sending out a follow-up email which will include related training documents and a copy of our Q&As from today. So let's get started. This session is designed for publishers and intended only for those individuals who have responsibility for allocating and managing licenses for end users. There's two ways to access RepAdmin. There is a RepAdmin tab in the YearbookFusion desktop software. Or you can launch an internet browser such as Google Chrome and sign in with your user ID and password. The password is generally a randomly generated 5-digit password. Once you sign in, this is your welcome screen. From here, you can click on your profile button or click on the My Profile under the Reseller menu. When you click on your profile, the first area you look at is your attributes, and this is just where you can see the main contact details for your account. So if there's changes within your company, you can come here and update them. And this is also how you can retrieve your password should you need to retrieve it so somebody else can have access to the program. Under Global Preferences, this is where your specific global settings are identified. These are options that you choose when you completed the customization order form. Things like your logo, support information, output and publishing options, minimum DPI warnings, and FTP details. The Per User Preferences is changing the default language. The Fields menu is where you can identify whether most of the global options are passed down from your global settings or whether or not you wish to set them up on an individual basis. In most instances, you will leave this set to global. If you wish to make changes, it should generally only be a one-off and consequently made at the user level. Emails, this is the back-end details on what appears in the confirmation email when the license is created. To order additional licenses, it can now be mostly done online. For our Canadian customers, due to the exchange rate cap that we have in place, you will need to continue to order licenses by faxing in the order form. But for our American customers, you can, in the upper left-hand corner here, go to the Order Licenses under the Reseller menu, and then sign in with the email address and password of your RepAdmin account. So I'm on my attributes, and that's email address and the password. Once you're in, you can then come down here to YearbookFusion. And as you can see, you'll see several different types of products listed. All the ones with our YearbookFusion logo are the desktop software or the online software. The software product licenses are available for schools in less than or more than 400 students, which includes staff as well, and can be purchased as at school or in-house. At school licenses is when the software will be downloaded and installed by the school or other non-publisher personnel for them to use on their computers. In-house licenses are when you, the publisher, are designing the books for the school and they never activate the software. In-house will not have a remote storage license added, as each publisher has their own remote storage that can be used to store all in-house products. Our online licenses have no software to be installed, and they come with 80 gigabytes of remote storage included in the license. It allows the school to design exclusively online using a template gallery, which provides a quick and easy book creation. We also have our remote storage licenses. These are available for purchase separately and come in 3 types: elementary, which is 10 gigs, middle school, which is 30 gigabytes, and high school, which is 80 gigabytes. When allocating an at-school license, you'll often allocate a remote storage license as well, but it is not a requirement. You will make this decision based on each school's specific needs. Next, we will go back to RepAdmin and take a look at allocating licenses. So there's 2 options for allocating licenses: new and existing users. So on the left-hand side here under the reseller menu, we have our subheading called Allocate Licenses. And as you can see, we have 2 options. If it's a new user, so your very first time customer, you want to make sure you do the new user option. If it's a returning customer, so it's their 2nd or 3rd or 5th year, you want to make sure you do the existing user option. This provides continuity for remote storage and ensures that your user management window is clean and contains no duplicate accounts that can become a nightmare to manage. To allocate to a new user, we'll click on New User, and it defaults to use licenses from your account. And so you start by going to the software product and picking whether it's an at-school or in-house, more or less than 400, or an online. So in this case, we'll do online. And then you would fill out the customer's profile. If you wish to put a page count in, this is your opportunity to do so. That will prevent the school from creating more pages than what you've discussed in your contract. So if you've quoted a school a yearbook of 50 pages, you can put 50 in there and they will physically not be able to create more than 50 pages. In the user ID field, this is where you come up with your user ID for the school. Typically, we recommend that it is something similar to their school name with no spaces. Then the school name field is where you would put the entire name with the spaces. In the user details, this is specific to the person you are in contact with, so the main yearbook coordinator. So the username is the person. The email address is the main contact's email address. And this information can be changed on a yearly basis. The user ID always stays the same, but the user details section here can be updated. The internal client ID, this is not a mandatory field. It's just an option available to you if you wish it. Some publishers have a system that generate their own internal identification numbers. You can enter it there so that it's in RepAdmin as well if you need to. The street is just the address of the school. And you just fill everything in. The default country is US, but you can just click the drop-down arrow and change it to the one that's right for you, and Canada is by default up at the top as well. Once you're ready, you can go ahead and hit Allocate. You will get confirmation that the account was successfully allocated, and you can click on the link to view the profile. If the user ID is already in use by somebody else who uses YearbookFusion, you would have gotten an error message saying the user ID is already in use. When you get that error message, it's not just referring to your customers, it's referring to every YearbookFusion user. So if there's a publisher on the other side of the country that has a school with the same name and they've already claimed that user ID, that's why you're getting the user ID is already taken error. So next we'll take a look at reallocating to an existing user. So again, on the left, we'll go to our existing user option. And here is all the existing users for this publisher. The list is quite long. If you want to narrow it out, you can just type part of the person or school that you're looking for and click search, and it will isolate the accounts. To renew the account, what you want to do is the third column here, the numbers in them indicate how many days are left on that license. So you can do it a bit in advance. If the license has already expired, it will say EXP. So you find the account that you need to renew and you click on the link here. And then here's where you pick the products and, if necessary, update the user details. You can just pick the software product from the drop-down if you like. So, for example, we could do the at school less than 400 and then come here and pick the corresponding remote storage option that we'd like. Or the other option is up at the top. We have this link here that says click here to select same software as last purchase. It will automatically populate and then you would go ahead and hit allocate. Now sometimes when allocating licenses, mistakes happen. You pick the wrong product and you realize it after the fact. If the customer is a returning customer and it's been less than 2 months since the licenses were allocated, you can make the corrections yourself. If they're a first-time customer or it's been longer than 2 months, you'll need to contact publisher support. So to fix an incorrect allocation, we can go to existing user. Again, find the user that was incorrectly allocated, but this time, instead of clicking on the third column data, we're going to click on the little abbreviation here under the profile column. This will take us to their profile, and then we're going to go to the Purchases tab. Now this customer has YearbookFusion Online. If it was one that had desktop and remote storage, you would see 2 of this section. Right now here it just says YearbookFusion Online, but if they had remote storage, there'd be another one here identifying the remote storage product. If it was just an incorrect software allocation, you can click Convert Software and change the software product. It tells you how many licenses you have left. If the school has changed their mind and you want to refund the license because the account is no longer going to be used, same thing, you can go to the Purchases tab. This time you would pick the Refund button. A little pop-up box will appear. Just enter a comment about what happened and hit OK. That will close the account and it will place the license back in your balance of available licenses for you to use going forward. So next we'll take a closer look at our existing user screen. So as you can see here, we have several fields to look at. Organization is the name of the school. So as you can see here, McGirt Elementary. The profile, 2 primary activities here will be to update the contact info and resend the confirmation email. If you need to resend the confirmation email, you just click on the profile link, go to Purchases, and then click Resend Confirmation Email. The confirmation email that is referring to is the same one that's automatically generated when you allocate to a new user. Here is a sample of the welcome email. It gives them either the link to download, or if they're online, the link to access the program. And then if they're a returning user, it will have the existing user ID and password. If they're a new user, it will give the user ID, but the password will have to be created when the user first logs in. And it also gives some contact information as well. So back on our existing user menu. So that was the profile column. Next we have allocate and days left. This takes you directly to the recent allocations and allows you to add additional types of licenses as well as allocate to an existing user. And it also shows you how many days are left on a license. So when you see the first record here, how there's 2 numbers, the first number is the desktop software and the second number is the days left on the remote storage And how you can tell that is also by the profile column. So YBFL is YearbookFusion Large, so that's the over 400. And then RSHO is Remote Storage High School. And as you can see below it, the one just has the one number, meaning there's only one product. And in this case, YBFO stands for YBF Online. The username field is just the name of the contact. The user ID is the school's user ID, so if a customer ever says, I've forgotten my user ID and password, you can come here and retrieve their user ID. The build number tells you whether or not they have activated the software. If it is set to 0, the school has not yet activated. The email address is also the email address associated with the account. The rep field identifies the rep or the publisher that has the rights to the school. So for most of you, it will just say your company's user ID. Should you have any sub-reps, they will also be listed here, which we will take a look at in a moment. In the password column, that's where you can retrieve a user's password. If it's blank, they have not yet created it, but once they create their password, it will be reflected here, and this is where you can come to retrieve it, should your customers forget. In order to have a clear understanding of what is going on in your accounts, you want to be very familiar with these reports. On the left-hand side, under Reports, we have our license balances. This takes you back to the main screen where you can see all the licenses that you have available. So the types are listed on the left, and how many you have is listed on the right. As you can see, the software is in one section, and then the remote storage is in another. The next report is our users. This is another way to get to our list of existing users. Then we have license allocations. This provides the history of allocations to all users. License refunds provides a history of all refunds. And then we have our marketing tab. Here is where you will find the download link to your rep-specific version of the desktop software. This can be sent to any prospective school during your marketing efforts. This is the demo version with limited output. This copy can simply be activated when the decision is made to use our software. However, never provide a potential customer or a customer your publisher level user ID and password. Next, we'll look at our distributor menu. This is where you would create a subrep. A subrep is created when you establish a relationship with another company who will be the represented to the school. This scenario commonly arises when you're a larger publisher and you have a smaller photography company or publisher wanting to purchase licenses for YearbookFusion through you. So once you develop that relationship and you want to set up that smaller photography company with their own account, you come to the distributor menu and click Create Rep. From here you create their user ID. Again, typically it's something that coincides with the name of their company. And then the display name is their company name with spaces. Contact name is the person's name, the email address, and the password we recommend just doing randomly generated numbers. You go ahead and click Create. Then it says it's been created successfully, and you can click to see the profile. This is a subrep, and this is showing their rep admin sign-in details. So there's their user ID and their password. You can now establish the licensing relationship in one of two ways, whichever is best for you. You can transfer any of your licenses that are available under your license balances. In this scenario, the subrep would manage their own distribution of licenses from within their rep admin account, so you would need to provide them this information. The other option is that you allocate the licenses to the users for your subrep. So if you're going to manage the licenses for your subreps, what you would do is when you're allocating, be it new or existing, and you're on the allocation screen, you'll want to make sure that the desired rep is the subrep that the school belongs to, and then the using licenses from should be your name. So in this case, LumaPix YBF training. Then you can proceed with allocating licenses. But by changing the desired parent rep is how you indicate who the school belongs to. Also under the distributor menu, it has a report section. We can look at reps. This is the update child reps window, so you can come here and pick one of your subreps and update any information or reactivate them. The other report is license transfers. This shows a report of all transfers that have occurred, including the transfer of the publisher license NFR. So the minute you create a subrep, a publisher level license is generated, which is what this line indicates. So that is our Mastering Rep Admin Lunch and Learn. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I will stay on the line for a few minutes if you have any other questions. But again, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.